Hey there, YouTubers. This is Dan, the Angry Physio, and today we are going to talk about 4 really inexpensive items, cheap items that you can purchase that are going to do wonders for your orthopedic health. They're all easy to use and they can be incorporated into your weekly work and exercise routines. I prescribe them all the time. I don't understand why people don't procure these items more often. And the last one I'm going to present, the 4th one, is something that I'm betting all of you who sit there on your laptops don't have, and you need it. What is it? Well, let's take a look. Number 1, for most of you that sit at a desk all day, I highly recommend getting a 36-inch foam roller. It can either be a full foam roller or it can be a half foam roller. And we'll explain which works better for which type of body or which type of person in a minute. And if you look right here on what I'm scrolling through, this is not expensive. It usually costs between $10 and $20. They're super easy to find. Let's look at an absurdly simple way to use them, shall we? So for the full 36-inch roller, just pop it on the floor, just like you see here, and lie on it with your whole body on it, your pelvis, your spine, and your head. The nice thing about lying on a roller such as these is that it's a really easy passive thing to do, meaning that you don't really have to do anything except maybe just let the gravity do the work. You're going to feel a stretch in your pectoralis muscles. You're going to feel a stretch in your upper back, and it helps your upper back to rest into more extension. It's a great way, like I said, to combat the forward posturing of the spine and the shoulders that happens when we sit at a desk all day. And that's probably most of us. You can also stretch out your arms to the side periodically. Both of those positions, you can stretch 5-10 seconds at a time with that T position or this. I wouldn't do it continuously. And if you want a little bit of proof, by the way, that this thing is effective, lie on the floor before you do this and just be aware of how much of your spine is touching the floor. And then when you're done with lying on the roller, lie on the floor again. And I will bet you that you are going to notice that more of your spine is making contact with the floor. Overall, these rollers can be tolerated by just about anybody. There is a small percentage of people who don't tolerate doing this, and they tend to fall into, in my opinion, in the hypermobile category. That means people who are loose jointed, super stretchy, or overly stretchy. And I find also that some people that have active lower back pain, like a disc herniation, for example, might not tolerate this as well. So just assess your level of tolerance and make sure that your knees are bent to protect your lower back, as you saw in the video that we showed. Another thing to look out for when you're lying on this a full roller would just be numbness in your hands. Once in a while this happens. If your hands start going numb, you can either just nix lying on the roller altogether, or what I would recommend is maybe placing a pillow under your elbows to see if the numbness goes away. Sometimes the relative position of the arms in relation to the roller can cause a little bit of stretch on those neurovascular bundles in the arms. So something to look out for. Also worth noting that I do get some people in the clinic who have been in such a forward locked position for so long that when they lie on the roller, they look weird. Their neck cocks way back, and I jokingly tell them that they kind of look like one of those candy Pez dispensers. For all you younger folks, if you don't know what a Pez dispenser is, here's a photo of it right here. Not so great when you're lying on your back. So if that's true, if your head is cocked back and your neck doesn't feel comfortable, I like to slip some extra support under the head, like a little towel roll or a little pillow. There, that looks like a better alignment. Be aware when you try this out, you shouldn't be really feeling strained in your neck or at all. It should be nice and passive and easy. The full roller is a little bit harder to balance on when you have it on the floor because it has a capacity to roll from side to side. So I find that people of a more advanced age, shall we say, might tolerate lying on the half roller as it doesn't move from side to side. It's a bit more stable. And if you want to try something even more friendly than that, or if you want to kind of test out the concept before getting a foam roll, just take a big old beach towel, slap it on the floor, roll it up like you see what I'm doing right here, and the same rules apply. Keep your head supported on the towel, and the towel needs to be long enough for your pelvis to rest on it as well. And remember, keep those knees bent. And I can't believe I have to really say this, but occasionally a patient asks me if they can sleep on it. No sleeping on the roller. I'm sure bad things could possibly happen. Don't do it. Number 2, something you might not normally think of, especially you younger kids. Weight gloves, weightlifting gloves. Every person in the universe who lifts weights or rides a bicycle or does other repetitive tasks with their hands should consider getting weight gloves. Am I biased? Yeah, I'm a hand therapist by trade, but they work. I love weight gloves because they cushion the joints of the fingers and the thumbs from the shock of bicycle handlebars and holding weight bars and dumbbells, etc., etc. Your thumb carpal metacarpal joint, by the way, which is right about here, for all of you young people, they tend to degenerate over time. And this is one way that you can really kind of combat that. And it's good to be forward thinking about this, but I credit my longevity. I'm in my 50s and my hands are still working, and I'm a physical therapist. I use my hands every day and my thumbs are doing all right. And I will give some of that credit to wearing weight gloves every time I ride my bike, every time I work out, and that includes yoga. And also, this may be a stupid perceptual bias, but what the heck? When you see someone at the gym wearing weight gloves, don't you just think they're just kind of badass? I mean, I do. I get the vibe that people who wear weight gloves look more serious and they're more focused. And so should you. One other thing that I've noticed is that from talking to some of the CrossFit gym folks that I see from time to time, sometimes their coaches kind of frown upon them using weight gloves. I'm not sure exactly why this is happening, or if it's just a couple particular boxes that do this or a particular group of coaches. But if you have some information regarding that, feel free to drop me a comment in the comments section. Number 3, we're getting along here, a foam pad. Yeah, this seems a bit boring, but if you were to ask me, Dan, if I could just do one exercise for my legs, what would it be? The answer to that is simple, and most physical therapists will probably say this: balance training, single leg balance training specifically. And if you want to make single leg balance training challenging, many of you are going to need something that that's a perturbable surface, something that makes you work, such as a foam pad or a foam mat. It works you all the way up and down the kinetic chain, from the foot all the way up to the hip, and it improves our balance. And we could all use better balance, particularly the 65 and older crowd. There's published evidence-based research that shows here that a large percentage of people over the age of 65 suffer from a fall every year. And we want to be as proactive about addressing this as possible. So let me take you through the basics of the main exercise that I have patients do at the clinic with a foam pad. Notice here that the shoes are off. We want your feet and your ankles working with this exercise. And shoes sometimes aren't helping. So step right up onto that pad with one foot, unlock your knee, and use the other foot to steady yourself. So you can see what I'm doing here is if my balance starts to go, I'm going to touch my other foot down just momentarily like that, just so I can catch myself. We don't need you falling after all. Once you've got that down, start to remove the foot and just force yourself to balance. And like I said, keep the knee unlocked or bent. And I also tell patients, you can keep yourself close to a table if you're concerned about falling. Perhaps you are patients of a more advanced age. The goal is only going to be to use your hands if you need to for a safety issue. Otherwise, I instruct patients, if you feel good about it, just move the pad away from the table and see if you can just use your other foot to steady yourself. What, may you ask, could you start with if a foam mat is too difficult to do? Just start with the plain old floor. Stand on the hard floor. Shoe is still off. Knee is still unlocked. And you've got to make sure that you're safe with this type of exercise. So you may have to build up to the point where you could handle 30 to 60 seconds, several repetitions. of standing on the one leg on the flat floor before you promote yourself to a foam pad. And of course, because there's a little bit of concern of fall with this, you want to ask your doctor if this is going to be appropriate for you. All right, here's our last item that I totally recommend that you get, especially if you're working on a laptop, people. And that's most of you. I see so many people all over the place working on laptops. Guess what? You are messing with your posture in one of two ways by using a laptop. So let's take a look at position number one. Looky here. The arms and the hands are actually in good alignment. There's no reaching necessary because the keys are nice and low and in front of you. Good job. Or is it a good job? I don't know. Well, the problem with this position is that most of us are going to have to put our necks in a forward flex position and look down to adequately see the screen. Not a good idea for the long term, as this can cause, cervical disc issues, neck pain. It may seem innocuous enough, but if you take this for 6 to 8 hours a day, it amounts to a gymnast's workout of your head in a position that it shouldn't be. Well, then you may ask, what if we just pop the laptop up so that we don't have to flex forward through the head and the neck? Good idea, but now look at your arms and your hands. It's too much of a reach. This positioning is a recipe for wrist tendonitis, carpal tunnel, shoulder pain, you name it. And I've seen 20-somethings come into the clinic with lots and lots of arm pain. And once we check out their ergonomics, a lot of the time, this is what I see the problem is. They're reaching too far to get to their mouse or to the track aspect of the keyboard or just hitting the keys. It doesn't work. So what's the solution? Get an external keyboard, people. The laptop can be lifted up so that the top of the screen is just about at your eye level. And the keyboard can be placed right in front of you. There, you've addressed both issues at the same time. It's much less stressful when you have to spend hours at the computer. And external keyboards, by the way, are cheap. You can see here that I'm just entering the search words external keyboard for laptop, and looky here. It looks like we're talking about a range of $18 to maybe $45. So that's a small price to pay for avoiding repetitive overuse injuries. Your body will thank you. One exception for people who maybe shouldn't exactly be in this positioning is for people who wear bifocals. What are bifocals? They're glasses that require you to look through the bottom one half of the lenses to read. If you think about it in these cases, the top of the screen does not have to be at your eye level. In fact, the top of the screen, if the top of the screen were at your eye level, you have to cock your head back like this to look at the screen appropriately. And that too would cause a neck problem. So the screen should be at a height where it's comfortable for your eyes to just gently fan down and look at the screen. You want to be in a nice neutral position. Thanks for watching. This is episode number 2. We're going to try all sorts of different topics. So stay tuned and check the subject headings. And as always, subscribe, rate, review, tell your friends. Let's spread the propaganda and let's get you in optimal orthopedic and musculoskeletal health. Thanks for watching, and don't do anything stupid. I know you are.